Hey folks, Jason Garbus from Numberline Security here. I want to spend a few minutes talking about a newly released document from the National Security Agency here in the US, as well as a number of partner agencies. And uh, I think that this document is it's a good document. There is one element that's missing that I want to talk about in particular that needs to be a focus for enterprises as they look at AI data security. So I'm going to share my screen here and we'll take a look at this. And first of all, I want to put this in some context of actually this overall set of advisories and guidance from the National Security Agency. So here, this is all public information here under NSA.gov. You can see the URL there. And this is a really good set of research. And I want to thank the individuals and teams who are working at the NSA to prioritize and put together this huge set of information that's really useful for us as security professionals. And you can see this is just sorted in chronological order. I mean, they have things, a number per month, just on a wide variety of topics here. And in particular, I wanted to focus on this one here. So this AI data security, best practices for securing data used to train and operate AI systems. And this is, as you can see, it's actually not just the NSA, but there's a number of partner organizations, including the National Cybersecurity Center in the UK, the Australia Signals Directorate from Australia as well. And this document, despite having a confusing acronym, right, that it's a cybersecurity information sheet, which is a CSI as opposed to a CIS, but we're not going to go there. Why that's the case. So this document talks about AI and AI data security, but and the things in here are important. In particular, what they're really focusing on are data provenance and ensuring that as data is utilized in AI, either for training purposes or for actual production usage, that it doesn't get poisoned and it doesn't influence the outputs of the AI model. That's important. And it is worth, I do recommend taking a look at this document, reading through it, and really understanding the set of scenarios here. They outline the AI lifecycle stage and they identify specific risks associated with data as you're going through these different elements of the life cycle, supply chain, maliciously modified data, et cetera, et cetera. So these are important. And then they have a number of risks here that they talk about. They've identified, if I can find them here, web scale data sets, importing that data and making sure that it's valid, it hasn't been modified with or tampered with. Data poisoning, maliciously modified data, et cetera, et cetera. So this is all good. But the thing that I think is missing in my mind, which I will stop sharing here, in my mind is really the primary focus for enterprises, which has to do with just data leakage. And if you think about what is happening today is users and enterprises are taking data and they're feeding them into AI models, either for training purposes or for usage usage in, let's say, a general purpose AI model that's running in the cloud somewhere. And they typically are doing that without a lot of thought as to, or maybe without enough thought as to what is this data, how sensitive is it, what is going to happen to that data when it goes into this AI model? Is it going to be stored somewhere permanently? Is it going to be used to train future iterations of that model? Is it, in theory, in a private tenant in that AI model, but if it's stored, it's at risk of being leaked or breached? And are there different levels of sensitivity for this data that maybe if I'm training an AI model are going to come through in the outputs of that I don't want or certain individuals in my organization shouldn't be allowed to see? So that, in my mind, is really the biggest problem or most immediate challenge that enterprises have today. And it really harkens back or reduces down to a data security problem. Visibility and understanding and classification of data, and user education, and having a set of both technical controls and process controls around how this data is used, and then technically how that data flows from one system to another. Same problem that we had for a long time around data lakes or data warehouses, where data comes from a variety of sources and it's pulled into this much larger environment. And in some cases, you're going to lose data classification, data controls around that. You're certainly going to lose the more structured access methods that you get with relational tables or data that's accessed only through an application. When that data comes into a data lake and you have data scientists or applications or Power BI types of users accessing and querying that data, you lose all sorts of natural controls that you had or original controls that you had when it was in an application, and you had a very carefully defined, hard-coded, handcrafted queries and mechanisms to validate data and to query the data, make updates to the data. You lose that in a data lake environment. And this problem is amplified significantly in an AI model once you've trained it with your own custom data or you're feeding data into it. You're Because AI systems are, by their very nature, non-deterministic, you don't know what's coming out of the AI model. You have no way of tying the outputs to a certain set of data inputs. So you're losing any sort of classification or controls around that. So in my mind, that's really the biggest problem that we have around, most immediate problem that we have around AI usage and enterprise data security. The things that are highlighted in the NSA report are important. I think there are less importance. And if you're an enterprise that's utilizing AI, and in particular, training AI models, whether they're running on premises or running in the clouds, but training that with your own data, you need to have a clear understanding and some rules and guidance for your users around what that data looks like and should it be classified, should it be obfuscated, should it be changed and anonymized in certain ways. And if there are sensitive elements of that data, you need to put an equivalent level of controls around the AI model that has been trained on that data, because everything you put in is going to come out in some form or another, and you can't have sensitive, confidential information go in and then have this trained AI model just be available to any general purpose user. We've all seen this movie in the document repository SharePoint days, where you try to put some controls around SharePoint, and then you go into SharePoint, your SharePoint site, and you search, and all sorts of things come up that were intended to be private or confidential. And that's something that we all need to be aware of. And unfortunately, there's no shortcuts here, but awareness is at least the first step here, and making sure that you have a clear understanding as a security leader of what sorts of AI systems are being used and trained on data, and understanding and the beginnings of a stronger culture around data classification, data control, and data security in your environment. Thank you. Those are my thoughts for the day. Have a good one.